Thank you for joining me. My name is Lara Kane, and I am the owner of Torch Wellness, and I am a psychiatric physician assistant, and I practice integrative psychiatry. So I'm really very interested in um, creating a well-rounded, kind of holistic viewpoint on mental health and just overall wellness. And so today, I am doing a little talk and a meditation on the benefits of deep breathing. And I wanted to do that because most of us, if you live in the United States, have been experiencing a lot of tension in our political system, coupled with the stress and anxiety that we're all having with COVID. It's like a little pressure cooker. 2020 has proven to be a very stressful year for most of us. If anything, because of just the changes that our lives have had and the uncertainty. Um, and so I have had a lot of clients showing up in my practice and they're saying, I'm feeling really stressed and I don't know why. I'm feeling more anxious and I don't know why. I think I might be a little depressed. And I try to normalize that for them and say, it's a really hard time right now. A lot of us are struggling, and it would be very normal for you to be having some anxiety and depression, especially if your life has been, dramatically impacted by all that's going on right now. Or if you have anxiety or depression, if you had that prior to what we're going through right now, because the situation is just going to kind of exacerbate that, especially anxiety, because the world is not looking like a very safe place. The world outside. Inside, when you have anxiety, the world doesn't feel like it's a safe place. But now you look outside and you have COVID and you have, um, in the United States, a very partisan, very angry, a lot of tension environment that creates some feelings of uncertainty. So I wanted to talk about. So last time I did a little special election pop-up meditation, and I just wanted to add a little bit more to that. So I had brought up um, where it's really pretty easy actually for us to manipulate our nervous system, and most of us don't really realize that. And we get stuck in these patterns of thinking. We get stuck in these emotional patterns. I actually do believe that we get addicted to certain emotional states. And so there are some of us who are kind of addicted to chaos, and so chaos feels familiar. And it might have been because you grew up in a very chaotic family. And so now you are an adult and you're not living in that chaos anymore. But it was so familiar that until you start bringing some awareness to it, chaos just makes sense, and so you're just perpetually creating chaos. Some people kind of feel most comfortable when they're feeling a little sad or when they're feeling a little anxious. So even though we may not like those states per se, they're comfortable. And so unless we bring some mindfulness to our lives and start to really understand that there's a whole pattern of thinking that supports a release of neuropeptides, which are small chemicals in your brain that are released and affect our mood state. They actually affect our physiology, they affect our mood state, they affect kind of everything. But the neuropeptides specifically are linked to our emotions. So, like when we're feeling love, there's specific neuropeptides that are kind of released to create that experience. Or if we're feeling sadness, or if we're feeling grief, or we're feeling elation, excitement. Um, each of those emotions have kind of their own little neuropeptide chemical equation or like cocktail. And so if we have kind of perpetually had these emotional states, they become habituated and we become used to them. And so what I find is when I'm working with clients, one of the big things is I find that clients, who might be prone to anxiety or depression have a habit of holding their breath or breathing really fast. Um, and both of those things kind of increase the anxiety and also can increase depressive symptoms because if we're not getting enough oxygen into our bodies and then having it circulate and getting to our brains, it can cause some issues. So when we practice deep breathing, there's kind of two things that are going on. One, by so let me just do a little bit of physiology. So we have a diaphragm, and the diaphragm kind of it's like a dome shape. It's very thin. It's a muscle, and it kind of separates our chest from our abdomen. And when we exhale, it comes up to about rib 5. So when you exhale, the diaphragm pulls up, and that helps the lungs release the oxygen, release the air, because there's nitrogen and carbon and all kinds of stuff in there. And then when we breathe in, it goes down to about rib 10. So ideally, so ideally, we get about a 6 rib or 6 inches um, movement with each breath. Now, most of us are not breathing like that day in and day out. And in fact, many of us are breathing maybe 2 inches, maybe 3. Um, it's really kind of fascinating if you start watching or paying attention to your breath to be mindful of when you're just breathing. So you're at your work, at work, you're on the computer. If you take a minute to just stop and be mindful of how much your body is moving in response to your breath. And I will tell you, most people, body's not moving at all, which is not very good because we're not getting maximum blood circulation, we're not getting maximum lymph circulation, and we're not getting parasympathetic stimulation through the vagus nerve. So when our bodies aren't moving, which the body knows on some level, that the more movement and expansive and deeper the breath is, the safer we are, the more we are able to relax. When we're doing just these little sips of breath and the body's barely moving, that's a stance for like fight or flight. So that's when, we're on alert and we're looking for dangers or we're in danger. And so the body will interpret it, and that causes more sympathetic tone, which is the fight or flight. And we want to be in parasympathetic as often as possible, which is the rest and digest. So taking some time throughout the day to be able to take deeper breaths. Sorry, you can see my dog. That it will really help you start cultivating a more rest and digest state of being, a more relaxed state of being. And it's really easy. You can just do 3 minutes, 5 minutes twice a day, ideally 10 minutes twice a day of just some nice, slow, deep breathing. You activate your vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is a cranial nerve that comes from your skull, comes down your throat, comes into, and it hits every organ in your body. And when we activate or we turn on the vagus nerve, when it's turned on, basically kind of tells the body, we're good. We can be in a relaxed state. And it sends a message to all of the organs in our body and to our brain that we can relax, we can chill out. So you want to turn on the vagus nerve. When we go into sympathetic, when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, the vagus nerve kind of turns off, because then it's kind of like the vagus nerve turns off and it's kind of like every organ's for itself, every man for itself. Figure it out. And the body's like, what? And that just kind of amps up this fight or flight, this feeling of fight or flight. So we want to turn on the vagus nerve. And since the vagus nerve hits every organ in our body, it innervates our diaphragm, our lungs, our heart, and our intestines, and then everything in between. But primarily with the deep breathing, what you get is you get a good expansion of the lungs, you get a good drop of the diaphragm, And then you get a little massage of the organs in the belly, because when you take a deep breath in and the diaphragm drops those 6 inches, the belly doesn't have room. So that's why the abdomen, like if you can really get a nice, soft abdominal movement with the breath, that's going to put you in a very nice, relaxed state. Because when we're stressed, abdomens are tight. And that's part of the problem with like tight clothing or, you know, being a female, being raised in the United States and our current culture. I was taught to hold my stomach in, so a lot of us, we want tight stomachs and we want six packs. And well, that's all good, well and good, except for it will create more stress and anxiety in your body. So if you're able to have a soft abdomen and a soft belly, and then feel that belly move as you breathe, that will really help to reduce the level of anxiety and stress that you're feeling. So we're going to just do a belly breathing tonight. I don't know if you have in your practice done any belly breathing. I will tell you from the get-go, some people who have never done belly breathing before struggle the first time or two because they just have never really, don't have awareness of that. They've never really thought of breathing in their belly. And in fact, I've had clients even say, because I'll say, let's breathe into the belly. And the clients, being a little sassy, will turn to me and say, my lungs are in my chest, so I can't breathe in my belly. And then I explain the diaphragm and the movement of the diaphragm, and we straighten that out. Because actually, if you are breathing deeply and if you're breathing slowly, the belly should engage and the belly should move. So, if you want to get comfortable, and if you're sitting, please no crossed arms or crossed legs, feet on the ground. You can sit in lotus position or sit cross-legged if that's comfortable. But I'd like for you to be able to, if you're not sitting cross-legged, to lean back. So make sure that you feel supported, whether at a dining room table or in a sofa or a cushion chair, whatever. Just make sure you feel supported. And then you can put your hands on your thighs. I always like to tell clients, hands down if you're feeling like you need some grounding, if you need, if you've just not felt very well grounded and anxious and stressed today. But if you've been in a good place, palms up if you're wanting to receive blessings from above or intuition, or if you want to kind of open yourself up to the energy of the belly breathing. So gently just rest your hands on your lap, however you want them to be. Close your eyes. And just take a minute to notice how your body feels. So scan your body and notice if you have any areas where you feel tension or tightness. And just invite your body to begin to soften and relax. So we can use the breath as a tool to encourage the body to let go and to soften. And so let's say you're feeling a little bit of tension in your shoulders and in your neck. On the next few in-breaths, you can just kind of direct the breath into those spaces, imagining the breaths bringing spaciousness, air, clean energy, clean air into those spaces. And then as you exhale, imagine releasing any tightness or tension. And as you're doing that, there's no judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. But as you're doing that, if your body, is having a hard time relaxing, it's okay. And then you can have self-compassion. You can say, I understand. It's been a hard day. There's a lot going on. I understand. I'm having a hard time letting go. And that's okay, because I'm going to meet myself where I am. And so releasing tension in your neck and shoulders, releasing tension in your hips, your lower back, taking a few exhales to feel the body settle and release. Let your back rest against the back of the chair. Let your legs let go. Your feet rest on the floor. So breathing in, drawing in that clean air and energy and spaciousness, and breathing out and letting go of any tightness or any tension. And just acknowledge that you've taken a little bit of time for yourself. And it's time to let go of whatever thoughts might be racing through your mind. Any worries you have, just imagine putting them in a little box. Whatever's going through your mind, put it in a little box, tie a little bow around it, and then just slide it to the back of your consciousness. As you come into awareness of your breathing and your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And I'd like for you to take your hands and just place them on your lower belly. So they can be kind of right above your navel or just below your navel, just somewhere in the lower belly. And I want you just to continue breathing how you've been breathing, and just notice if you feel the belly move at all as you breathe. You may feel nothing, you may have a hard time having awareness in this space, or you may feel a lot of movement in this space. So just be mindful of the breath coming and going, and noticing how your body is responding to the breath. So this is just a temperature read. We're just checking in. And so this is kind of what you can do when you're at work or when you're, driving or whatever. You just want to check in with your breath. How are you doing? How am I doing right now? How's my awareness? How's my body feel? How's my breath feel? How much am I engaging my body as I breathe? And then what you're going to do is you're going to imagine that there's a balloon just beneath your hands. And slowing down your breath just a little bit. We don't want to create any tension, but if you can just slow down your breath a little bit, and imagine as you're breathing in that balloon expands in all directions. And then as you exhale, that balloon gently contracts. Some people, I like to imagine a ball of light, and it can be whatever color. I like gold. So I imagine this golden sphere that as I breathe in, that golden ball expands. And as I breathe out, that golden ball gently retracts. So slowing down your breathing, bringing awareness into your belly, and feeling that balloon or that ball of energy just expanding on the in-breath and releasing on the exhale. And then using your awareness to be mindful in your hands. It's the easiest, so in the front. So you can feel the front of the belly and how it's moving. Seeing if you can bring awareness to your back. So your lower back, your pelvis, your glutes, your buttocks. Are they moving at all as you're breathing? And then being mindful of your side body. Feeling as you breathe, can you feel how the side body gently expands and then releases? And I find sometimes when people are just starting to learn belly breathing, they get a little breathless. They got a little shorter breath. So if you're feeling a little breathless, you can just let go of the breath. Just let your body have some natural breaths. Just let it come however it will come. Sometimes it's a fast breath, sometimes it's a slow breath, sometimes it's just a pause. And then when you feel like things have calmed down, you come back into your belly breathing. And so feeling the breath open the body in that three-dimensional movement, and then feeling the breath leave the body, and the body comes back down to center. Feeling the belly, the back, the sides open and lift, and then feeling the body release and let go. And on your next few exhales, just really letting go of tension in the pelvis and the buttocks and the thighs, even in the pelvic floor, if you have awareness of that space between the pubic bone and the tailbone. A lot of us do not have much awareness in this space. And so really kind of dropping in and being mindful of how that space feels and how it moves as you breathe. And if you need to release the breath, allow for some resting breaths. Allow your body to settle back down and come back to center, and then come back into some belly breathing. Just really being mindful of the abdomen, being mindful of the lower back, being mindful of the side body. Feeling the hands rise on the in-breath and release on the exhale. Maybe even feeling the pelvis gently tilt forward on the in-breath and then release on the exhale. You can even exaggerate that movement of the pelvis, because rocking the pelvis also activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's why rocking in a rocking chair is so soothing. It activates lower um, that lower body parasympathetic complex, nerve plexus that's down there. And so take just a few more nice slow breaths. Feeling the breath move in, move down into the belly, opening up the body, and then releasing. Feeling on the exhale your body letting go and softening into the chair, muscles relaxing. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and release the breath. You can put your hands back down on your thighs, but keep your eyes closed for just a moment and check into your body. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your breath feels. Notice where your mind is. Perhaps thinking about something you're grateful for that happened today and why you're grateful for that. Why was it a good thing that happened, or why is it a good thing in your life? And feel the emotional reaction, the neuropeptide release to something that you're grateful for. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. I always like to roll my neck, so you can roll your neck. Oh, you can roll your wrists, roll your ankles, flex and point your toes. Just wake up the body. So I would really encourage you to take even 2 minutes a day to drop into your breathing and start cultivating awareness of deep breathing, belly breathing. Because what will happen is 2 minutes a day of focused belly breathing is going to start to accentuate your awareness of what it feels like to have relaxed breathing. And as you cultivate a relationship and an awareness of that, you'll start realizing throughout your day when you're not breathing like that. That's the beautiful thing about mindfulness. The more we focus on something, the more it moves into the forefront. And so, having said that, your homework, which I've never given homework before, but we're going to have homework tonight. Your homework is to start also paying attention to your thoughts. And when you're thinking, when you get stuck in those rabbit holes of negativity, of worry, of fear, of self-judgment, of criticism, I want you to be mindful of how you're breathing. Because I can guarantee you are doing some pretty shallow breathing, if not holding your breath, when you're deep into negativity. And when you catch yourself in those holes, which we all fall into, it is human nature, I would like for you to exercise a little self-compassion. Oh, there I am again. Judging my neighbor, judging myself, being angry about my body. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and he was talking about trauma. And he was talking about the number one trauma, like the number one trauma we inflict on ourselves is a fear of food. And I never really thought about it that way. But most of us have such an unhealthy relationship with our bodies and with food. We traumatize ourselves while we're trying to eat with self-judgment and criticism. So even if we think about something like Haagen-Dazs ice cream or a chocolate bar, it's the follow-up is shame and criticism. And then if we are indulging in those things, it just goes, right? Just goes. And one, it steals away the thrill and the enjoyment of indulging in those things. But two, three actually. Two, it inhibits our ability to metabolize it appropriately. And so therefore we are dysregulated in our calorie. We're not able to break things down. And then three, we traumatize ourselves because the one thing that's supposed to be nourishing us, we set up this double standard of it's actually bad for us. So what happens? Where do you go with that? So start watching your thoughts and then start watching your breathing. And sorry, my pressure cooker just went off. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me. And if you are listening to this after the fact, thank you for joining. If you would like to be signed up for our email newsletter, you can email us at torchwellness@gmail.com, or you can go to torchwellness.com and sign up for my blog. Soon the button will be a newsletter. And then you'll get bi-monthly newsletters that have recipes and tips and information and links and all kinds of fun stuff. So I look forward to seeing you next month. I don't even know what day that is. Let's see. That would be December 8th. So I will see you December 8th unless I do another pop-up meditation before that. Please sign up for the email newsletter so you'll know if we're doing a pop-up. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening. And thank you again for joining me. Bye bye.